Hello, glorious people of YouTube. Thank you for joining me once again. And I want to talk to you today about a Nobel Prize winning work of fiction. And that is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel García Márquez. And I must admit that when I first started reading this novel, I kind of put it down. I almost threw it down, and I was thinking, what the hell is this? You know, it's mythical nonsense mixed in with historical writing, and I thought, what is all this superstitious, clearly mythological, supernatural writing, you know, supernatural events that were taking place. But as I continued to read the book, I got to the point where I almost couldn't put it down. You know, it focuses on cycles in time. It's the story of a city or a village, if you like, called Macondo, which is founded by the Buendía family. And then what we see is the rise and fall of Macondo through a century. And how the family perpetuates by having these offspring and renaming them. It can also, if you're not a Spanish speaker or if you're not familiar with Spanish names, can be quite complicated because you have the repetition of names through the generations. And that's one of the core themes at the heart of the book, is this repetitive nature, this cyclical nature of families and time. But it is just wonderfully written. It's a poetic writing, and it's funny, and it's sad, and it's thoughtful, and it's quite gruesome at times as well. But it deals with almost everything that you can imagine, from love, loss of love, war, the starting of war, the ending of war, the political situations that result in movements and murders and deaths and so on. And then, of course, the very supernatural events that I described as annoying in the beginning of the book become quite fascinating as we go on, like as we learn that the family members that die never truly leave the home. They're still haunting the halls and the rooms at night, and appearing and discussing, having discussions in rooms with newer generations of the family. The book also had quite a significant impact on me emotionally. Sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, and particularly I think the very ending of the book, not to give too much away, but I put the book down and found myself feeling very nostalgic, and I was thinking about the past, places where I've lived and people who've come and gone. It made me think of family that have passed away and friends who've passed away. But it also made me think about ex-girlfriends who have been lost, or friends who have just disappeared over time through life taking place. And yeah, I had some relatively sad moments of nostalgia and thinking about this cycle, and in the end looking back on how quickly it all goes, and how in many ways you could say insignificant it is. I don't like to say it's insignificant, of course. Each person's life is meaningful and significant, but it goes by so quickly, and you know, we spend our lives not necessarily doing things that we want to, and often wasting our time. We do it because we often have a requirement to earn money and survive, pay our rent and buy food. But yes, it did leave me thinking deeply. And so this book, published in 1967, is considered one of the greats of the 20th century, one of the masterpieces of fiction. and it's described as magical realism, which I think is really, I don't know if that's actually become a genre or if it is a genre, but that really describes it very well in a book where the extraordinary just becomes the ordinary. And it's so graphical, and there's just so much magic taking place along with the historical paths that are being weaved through time via the family, and the fascinating family members, and you know, living to 145 years old, and rainstorms that last for 10 years. It doesn't stop raining for 10 years at one point in the book. Absolutely fantastic. So if you can, get hold of 100 Years of Solitude and read it, and don't give up. You know, persist, and you will eventually love the book. Thank you for joining me.